Everyone, I
Okay.
hope you're okay. For those that don't know me, I'm David Bowen. I'm one of the PDMs here in the UK, working with the kind of Dynamics partners and community. I'm going to be joined by Anna, who's going to jump in on the call as we kind of go through. So I think when Gina was looking for volunteers to kind of do the licensing section, Anna and I were clearly on holiday and have since kind of drawn the short straw to present on this. So, I hope you're sitting comfortably. I hope you're in for the long haul. We've got 250 slides to go through of deep technical licensing around kind of dynamics. So just let me work out how to shift my slides. Here we go. So I don't know about you, but when people start talking to me about dynamics licensing, this is kind of how I feel. And I'd imagine if I was to go through 250 slides, this is probably how you would look. So instead of kind of torturing you through that, Anna and I thought that we would try and share with you what are some of the typical licensing conversations that we have, and really kind of teach you to be kind of self-sufficient. So where are the key resources that you have around licensing, so that when you get a tough licensing question, you don't feel like smashing up your laptop or banging your head or jumping out the window. Actually, kind of key resources. So hopefully this will be a relatively lightweight on what is potentially quite a dry subject. So if we go through, here are our alter egos. So I'm the one on the right hand side. I'm the kind of PDM, and Anna's is one of my partners for the purposes of today.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for helping me today. So I have so many questions about licensing. I was wondering, if I'm looking to grow my CSP business, but I've got problem keeping up with all of your updates because you guys really love making updates, especially with regards to licensing, where should I go to find out more about these updates?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, Anna. Firstly, I'm really pleased that you're investing in growing your CSP business. It's high on our priority list, and it creates a great revenue stream for you. And I'm fully aware that we do make a lot of updates on programs, and it's really hard to miss it. So I think in terms of kind of where I would suggest you go, we run a monthly licensing call for CSP partners called the CSP Spotlight Call. And on that, we do any program updates, any changes that might be coming to certifications required, support, any sort of pricing changes that might become available. So if you've got people that need to be on that, I'd send that around to your team, get this to register, and that is a kind of great resource. And it doesn't just cover Dynamics, it covers the whole Dynamics platform, or whole Microsoft CSP platform.
Wow, great. Thanks so much. But do you remember earlier this week when I asked you this question about my annoying new starters? So they always come to me for questions with licensing. Could they go somewhere else instead?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm really pleased you've got new starters in your team. The investment in Microsoft is clearly paying off, and you're able to kind of bring more people on board. In terms of Microsoft licensing, yeah, it's massively complex, and knowing kind of where to start can be tricky. So there's a few places that I've used and I would typically recommend to go to. So first of all, there's the Microsoft Get Licensing Ready tools. You need to get them registered on the NPM portal, but they can register, sign in, and start accessing content quite quickly. This covers licensing from a licensing program perspective, so CSP, enterprise agreement, enterprise subscription, and from a product perspective. And there's the ability to get certified, so you can build it into their learning and development plans. So that's kind of a really good formal resource. If they're looking for something a little bit more informal, within Partner Center, there's some really good resources about licensing and licensing training. So I'd recommend that they kind of maybe go and have a look at this. And for those that are really keen, they can even go and work towards getting the exam, which is around kind of licensing solutions to large organizations.
Well, this sounds great. So if I want to send them to school, go licensing ready. But then if I sort of just want to go for specific information, just go on Partner Source. And we're hearing a lot about Partner Center right now. So it's a really good hub of information. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Do you know what? I'm a massive fan of Chris Huntingford. I think everyone else. I especially like it when he starts talking about licensing. This is why I ask him questions about licensing all of the time, because it makes him go bright red. Do you think we can have him do a Q&A for Power Platform licensing?
Oh gosh, that's a really tricky one. Everyone loves Chris. Everyone loves to see his shirts. The problem we've got is that he's just super busy. So what I would suggest, we can't get him to do every single partner, but if you've got immediate questions around Power Platform and Power Platform licensing, Chris is actually partnering up with the amazing Ryan Cunningham next week, and they're doing a dedicated sort of Power Platform and licensing webinar. What I'd recommend is if you sign up to that. And then you can, attend that next week. In the meantime, if you've got really urgent requirements, Chris is on the chat, so you can ask them, or you can view the Power Apps and Power Automate licensing guide there. I'll put the link in the slides. So hopefully that will cover both, short-term requirements about getting some airtime with Chris and something that you can kind of take away.
Oh, I just love this. So this is next Tuesday, so it's coming up really soon, midday, and I can already start submitting my questions. Okay, I have like 25 already.
Brilliant. He'll love that. Thank you. Bear with me. My slides aren't moving.
No, so I have a few more questions, Dave. You must move those slides. You cannot escape just yet.
Here we go.
Thank you. So how about a trick one now? Do you know what? From time to time, I need to dig up some old licensing material as well. And whenever I go on the Microsoft website, I can never ever find them. How about you help me find the guide for Microsoft AX 2012 version R3?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes these things, they exist, but they're kind of buried away. So this isn't a Microsoft official resource, but it's one that I use from time to time when, we're trying to find out what were the install rights at a specific period of time for a legacy product. And actually, I go to a company called Licensing School that run a lot of our licensing workshops for Microsoft. And on their site, they have literally got every single licensing guide going back, probably sort of 10 or 15 years around all of the Microsoft products. So I know your question was around AX 2012 R3. So I've put the licensing guides here, but if you go to that website, all the licensing guides are there, not just for Dynamics products, but for the whole Microsoft stack. So a really useful resource, and I'd recommend that you go and have a look if you need something that's not the latest.
This is really, really cool. Okay. Yeah, interesting. But how about if I just want to post a question or a channel or a forum or on Teams somewhere so that someone can answer me in a timely manner? I know all the information, but somehow it's just difficult to digest.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have the same thing internally. There's up until now, there's not been a kind of forum or anything that we can use. So actually, we've just launched recently a dedicated business applications pricing, licensing and incentives forum on the Microsoft Partner Community website. So you can see the link will be in these slides to kind of share. And that's been kind of published for two reasons. One is for us to, to communicate licensing changes and incentive changes to partners, but also to make sure that partners can post their questions and get a response time within a kind of an SLA. We're aware that there are various channels, or you might email somebody that you knew at Microsoft 3 years ago for an answer. Hopefully this will give you a bit more of a sort of consistent approach to getting some of those ad hoc questions that, you've looked at the licensing guide, you still can't get an answer. This could be your next level of kind of escalation.
Wow, okay, so this is super cool because, from time to time, I really need that sort of support, and the community in general in Dynamics is very valuable. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically what we find with these is that partners start answering other partners' questions and it becomes kind of self-fulfilling.
Everything's been super interesting today, but I must admit I don't remember all of the where I can find all of these licensing resources because I used to think that all I need to do is to read the full 7,000 pages in the licensing agreements and I'll be golden. But it seems like I have so much more to research on. Yeah,
absolutely. And the 7,000 pages was last year's licensing guide. It's bigger than that now with all the new stuff released. What I would recommend is, we talk about the BizApps resources pages. Within that, there is a licensing section, and that has all of the links that we've spoken about today. We'll add in the new link for on the partner community, BizApps partner community chat on there. So that should be live sort of almost as soon as the call's finished.
Really cool. So you mentioned that there's a new guide.
Yeah.
out already. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. So we literally posted today, so this is kind of hot off the press, the October version of the Dynamics 365 licensing guide. So you can see kind of what's in there. And in this, basically what we've started to embellish now that things like project operations are live, commerce is kind of becoming more established. We're just adding in some of the licensing information around those products. So, you know, the link for the new guide is here. Please go and download it. And that should give you some light reading over the weekend. I know you said you didn't have much to do.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't wait to go in there and read the whole thing.
Excellent. We'll have fun.
Thank you so much, Dave, for all this information. To be fair, I was really at a loss with regards to partner licensing in general, but now I understand that I can stay updated by going into these calls that you mentioned, and then the spotlight calls. I can also watch the recordings of them as well if I cannot join them. Understand that I can build my knowledge, so there's an actual training course and everything, and I can get certified in licensing. But also, if I still can't figure it out, there are forums and places to go for help.
Excellent.
So thank you ever so much. This is just so useful for me, and I hope for all of the partners in general.
Cool. Thanks.